now we are curious about another project of yours. You have a postcard. We know that you have a postcard called The Lonely Pipette. So why lonely? What is the story behind it?
Why lonely? So the podcast is a project that I created in 2020 with Renaud Poup, who was my student. He was my student on the master's program that I teach in. And actually, I was on his thesis committee. I was on his thesis defense jury. And we worked together to create a podcast where we wanted to share discussions, conversations with scientists across the world about what it is to be a scientist. And we spent so you ask about the name, and I think every podcast does this. It's very easy to create a podcast. We spent hours and hours and hours talking about the name, okay? Which is not important what the name is, because it's the content that's important, not the name. But we did spend a lot of time talking about the name, and we're looking for a name that you could find easily on the web, that it wasn't the name of other podcasts. And we came up with Lonely because so the pipette is the instrument that all biologists use. Every biologist has his pipette or pipette, and they will spend a lot of time at the bench. And there is something lonely about the bench, and we wanted people to feel that they can be lonely, but they shouldn't feel alone. Yeah, that they shouldn't feel that they don't have people to guide them or to accompany them through their careers. And so the podcast came to help people feel a little bit less lonely, more connected, and we wanted to create a community of people that would feel connected and help each other become better scientists. So we came up with this name, and it's worked. It's so and also the other thing, it's really important. So the lab is full of people, but you can still feel lonely, right? So it's not, the labs are not empty. The labs are full, they're noisy, and there's always people around, but you can still feel lonely. And you can feel lonely at any point in your career. You can be head of actually, one of the loneliest jobs is being director of an institute, because you have to make all these decisions by yourself. So you can be lonely as a student, as a postdoc, as a young researcher, as an engineer. So we felt that there are lots of points in your career where you might feel a bit lonely, and where it might just be nice to hear someone else, how they manage their career.
Thank you for sharing. So if the audience, if you want to hear more about the reason, you can go to Zero Tan Podcast and listen to episode 0.
Yeah, so episode 0 is just us talking about why we just finished season 1. So season 1 was a series of discussions with researchers across the world. Again, we wanted it to come back to what we were discussing before. We wanted to explore diversity. We wanted to talk to men and women from different cultures in different countries, and from different backgrounds, and at different points in their careers. Some of them at the beginning of their careers, some at the end. And we wanted to have an archive of conversations with scientists about what it is to be a scientist. So you can listen. They're all for free. You can find it on Twitter or on our website. You just type The Lonely Pipette, and you can find us on all the media. And if you want to get involved in the project, just write to me, and we're looking for people who are excited to get involved.
So as a PhD student, what can I expect from your podcasts?
So what's been really fun is that everyone learns something different, because everyone has a different story, and different things resonate with different people. So and that's from the beginning. So Renaud, the other host, is at the beginning of his career, and I'm towards the end of my career. And yeah, both of us enjoyed meeting all the guests, whoever they were. So different things resonate for different people. The reason I smiled just a few minutes ago is when you said, "Just go for it." That is the catchphrase of what that we heard from one of the people we interviewed. is Maria Elena. She grew up in Mexico and came to France to do a PhD and then went to England. Now she works in Germany. And her message was just go for it. So that might talk to you. It's the same phrase you used. So everyone will learn something different. Some people are interested in recruiting. How do you recruit people? Some people are interested in how do you make decisions? How do you choose a project? How do you deal with conflict? So there's something for everyone. And you don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a life scientist. At the end of the day, these are conversations with people. And those people, all of those people, some of them will say things that will just touch something, resonate with something question you're asking yourself in your life.
So can you tell us about your guests? How do you choose them? How do you find them?
So most of the guests are actually friends of mine. So I have had a long journey and I've met a lot of people. And so most of them are friends of mine. Some of them, so the first guest was Max. He works in the building opposite. I was on the committee that helped recruit him. So I've known him since he was a postdoc. He's now set up his own lab. So he was, then we spoke to Bob Weinberg, who's at the end of his career. He had a fantastic career as a cancer biologist at MIT. We met at a meeting many years ago and sort of kept in contact. Oded Rechavi is an Israeli researcher. I've never met him, but he's one of the most active biologists on Twitter. And he tweets every day. So we met on Twitter. Actually, the editor of Nature, Magdalena Skipper, who was our last guest. So she talks about the publishing process and the role of Nature magazine in the publishing process. So I have never met her either. We met on Twitter. She tweeted that she was stuck in an airport in Los Angeles, I think, and I tweeted back, and we became Twitter followers. And I invited her to come to Paris. She couldn't come because of COVID, but she. And the others they're all people that I've crossed at some point in my career that I admire, and that I wanted to hear how they would answer these questions about their careers, their lives. Fiona Watt is the head of the Medical Research Council. I haven't seen her for years, but I met her when I was a postdoc. So, yeah.
So how do you manage your time to work on your postdoc besides being an institution director, a professor, a coordinator of a master program?
Can you see these bags under my eyes? Yeah. I don't get enough sleep. That's how so this is a if you're coming into science, this is something you're going to have to deal with. You will always have more things to do than you have time in a day. So if you want to survive in research, you're going to have to get used to the fact that you're going to be doing too many things at the same time. And everyone has a different way of doing that. Some of my colleagues are extremely well organized. Some of them are very good at saying no to things. Some of them are just extremely driven by passion. So they all have different ways of handling this problem of doing too many things at the same time. And I just do it badly. I just manage everything badly, but this is, so the podcast for me is part of my mission to help people do better science. And those people can be the students I teach, the people who work in my lab, the people who work in my institute, my colleagues, whoever it is. And now this fantastic media we're doing it now. Yeah, we're going to record this today, and it may be seen by people all over the world, maybe next year, maybe the year after. So this is just a fantastic media for helping share thoughts and knowledge.
So since the season 1 finished, what is your plan for the season 2?
So we're working on season 2 on the guest list. The problem is we have a very long wish list of people that we want to talk to. So we are in the process of doing season 2, and it'll be out this year. Then we have lots of ideas. There's going to be a book of tips from the Lonely Pipette. And if we have more time, we'll be working on video, and we want to do, the other thing we wanted to do is workshops. We want to find ways to help to offer mentoring advice to young scientists, or even to older scientists, not just to young scientists. So anything we can do to find ways of sharing mentoring advice. So lots and lots of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds very fascinating. I cannot wait to the season 2. Whether you are doing science or not, you definitely need to check out the Jonathan postcard to know how to do better science. So
one of the ideas is that anyone, whoever they are, can get advice from someone else that will help them do better science. So even if you're doing amazing science, it can always be better. So, yeah.
So Jonathan, we talk about the academic position in France. We talk about the beauty and also the challenge of being in academia. We also get to know your Lonely But Not Alone podcast. So now we will talk about the training for the PhD student who want to stay in academia and how to get there. What do you think are the most important skills for an academic scientist? If I am a PhD student in natural science, what do I need to prepare physically and mentally?
Get lots of sleep now. I was talking to a student this week. The difficult thing about being a scientist is that the skill set is extremely broad. You need to be good with your hands because you need to do experiments. You need to be mentally very robust. You need to be very determined because most of your experiments won't work. You need to be creative. You need to be able to you need to be able to read scientific papers. You need to be able to write. You need to be able to present at meetings in English or maybe in French. You need to be able to talk at short format, long format. You need to be able to collaborate. You need to be able to train people, to inspire people. The skill set is just enormous, and there's no way that anyone can have all of it. There's no way you can be good at all of that. But you have to appreciate that you need large amount of this skill set. Okay, it's not enough to be good with your pipette. If you need to be able to write, and you need to be able to present, and you need to be and if you can do all those things, but you can't inspire people in your lab and train them, and so there are so many things you need to be able to do, and you won't be able to do all of them, but you can always get better at all of them. Yeah, you can always give a better talk. You can always learn how to write better by reading more, or you can always be more creative at the bench. So you need to be willing. You need to know what you're good at, know where your weaknesses are, and work on them, and not be afraid to consult other people and to ask other people to help you get better at the things you're not so good at. There's no short list of skills. You need all these skills. That's what's frightening. You need all these skills, and the ones you need later in your career are not the same as the ones that you got recruited for. Yeah. So no one recruits you because you're going to be a good. Because in 30 years' time you'll be a good director of an institute. So the skill sets are changing all the time, and you need to be extremely adaptable and always learning.
Yes, right. I cannot agree more to that. So you need to learn yourself, and you need to ask to know how and when to ask the questions, and always prepare to train, to adapt, and to learn.
So I will add something. So which is that you shouldn't be worried if you have doubt. To me, doubt is the most important quality of a researcher. If you don't doubt yourself, then you're not doing science. You have to have doubt. You have to be able to always question yourself, and that will happen all the way through your career. And this question, am I good enough? You can have it all the way through your career. Am I good enough? So you shouldn't leave this path because you have some doubt. Doubt is good. If you doubt the results of an experiment, you do the experiment again. That's the way the scientific process works. So you do have to be you do have to have a certain amount of humility and a certain amount of doubt.
Right. So I have a question. I am curious, how do you prepare the master student in your program for this?
Yeah, so I run a master's program. It's called the Magistère Européen de Génétique. It's France's leading program in genetics. It's a fantastic master's program that I did not set up. It was set up 35 years ago. The challenge, so behind your question is the biggest challenge of any teacher. How do I teach people for tomorrow using things from the past? Yeah. How do I teach what we know to prepare someone for tomorrow what we don't know? It's the biggest challenge of any teacher. It's a profound, difficult challenge. What we do in the program is we are convinced that research experience is the best way to prepare for many careers. Okay, certainly for a career in research, but also for other careers. Lots of our students go on to do business and to do consulting and to do lots of other things. But we are convinced that research is the best experience to do that. Research is hard, it's challenging, it's thought-provoking, you learn so many skills at the bench doing research. So what we do is we give our students from as early as we can a lot of research experience. I run programs that help them design research projects, not what we already know, but what we don't know. I run programs with the interface between art and science, because I think artists are always challenging what we don't know, the unknown, and we make sure that they spend a lot of time in the lab. You need to spend time in the lab, see the lab, live the lab. So that's really, really important. And in addition to that, you need to be reading all the time. You need to always be reading the literature, new papers, old papers, it doesn't matter, just reading papers and going to talks. Yeah, so that's what we try to do. I hope we do a good job.
Thank you, Ratan. So we talk a lot about the scientific excellence. You also have carried out research in a lot of top institutions like Oxford University or Harvard University. Is there any chance for an intermediate level graduate to compete for a position in academia, in your opinion?
So I don't know. So I don't know what you mean by intermediate level. Let me tell you. So I'm very, very lucky in many ways. For many, I had parents who could support me throughout my studies. I had friends and colleagues who stimulated me, helped me. I was born at the right time in the right place, etc. So you highlight these very prestigious institutions, Oxford, Harvard, Pasteur. I'm extremely lucky to have been there. Not because of the prestige. The prestige is one thing, but the reason why I was lucky to go to those places is the people that were there. When you go to top places, you meet top people. That's really, really scary because they're all more intelligent than you and more brilliant than you. So it's difficult, but you need to be in an environment that can stimulate yourself. And the best way is to go aim for the top. So you need to be, so I don't know what you mean by an intermediate. It doesn't matter. I won't go there. You need to be in an environment that will push you to grow. And that can be anywhere. Honestly, my lab at the Université de Paris, which is not Oxford or Harvard, it's the same thing. You need to be in an environment that will push you and stimulate you to grow. Okay, that's really important. The second thing is, and this is going to sound a bit tough, which is that in science, there is no place for mediocrity. Okay, because of the way we have structured our community, you can only publish if you are the first. You cannot publish something that someone else has published. It's too late. Yeah, if you're a dentist, you can be the best dentist on the block, or that if you are a researcher, that's what I said at the beginning. You have to have the arrogance to say, I will find something that no one else in the world, in the history of science, has ever found, and I will find it and publish it before anyone else in the world. If you don't have that arrogance, you need to go and do something else. So you need to be convinced that you can be the best. And this sounds really, really hard. But if you think you're last in the race, there's no prizes for running. Okay. In some jobs there are, and I love this idea that it's the running that's important, but actually not. In science, you need to be, you can compete in as many concours as you want. There's only one job at the end. So there's no point in competing unless you're convinced that either this year or next year, you're going to be that number one. So you need to have that. That's what I said. You need to be convinced deep down that you are as good as everyone else, or maybe better than everyone else. So if you're not, if you say I'm mediocre and I'm happy to be at the bottom of the class, that's fine. In my classes, there's always someone at the bottom. Doesn't matter how many students, there's always someone at the bottom. But that person at the bottom, if there isn't a reason why they're at the bottom, they're just at the bottom because that's good enough for them, they should go and do something else. Because being at the bottom of the list of grants and then the bottom of the list of recruitment, bottom of the list of, if you're always at the bottom of the list, you're not going to survive. Yeah. I know it sounds tough, but that is the reality of academia. And also, even if you don't win, you don't have to win every time, but you need to enjoy the competition. If you say, I don't like competing with other people, then you can't stay, because you're going to be competing all the time. All the time, you're always going to be competing.
So I should find the confidence, the arrogance, as you say, and to find the place that can push myself further.
You want to need to push yourself. Again, you don't have to be the best scientist, but you want to be a better scientist.
Yes, I want to, yes. So one of the last question is, in 2021, what would you tell any PhD student who want to work in academia?
What would I want? So this is an amazing job. It is an amazing privilege to get up in the morning and want to go to work, to discover things that no one else has discovered, and to share those things, and to inspire young researchers to get up in the morning to go and discover things that no one has ever discovered, and to share them and to give back to society. Some of those discoveries we never know how they will impact. So it's amazing. It's an amazing job. You have to be extremely motivated and you have to be extremely invested. And hard work is not enough, but you won't get there without hard work. You need to work really, really hard. And it's not, and you never get there. Often my senior colleagues, we say, when are we going to be able to relax? But, I'm towards my end of my career. You never get to relax. There's never, you're never, and you have to know that from coming in. Yeah. It's never going to be, I can relax now. Okay. When you get the job, the first thing you have to do is show that you deserve it, and then bring in money, and to get money, you have to publish, and then to publish, you need to attract people, and you have to have ideas. It's relentless. So you have to know that going in, and you have to be ready for that. And it never gets, however easy people make it look, it never gets easy. It's always challenging, which is why people want to do it, because it's always challenging.
Thank you, Nathan. It's really a nice message. You always constantly need to learn and to try to be better.
Yeah, so I just will add one thing though, which is, and I don't think we said enough. I think success has to be based on your own criteria for success. Don't let someone else define what is success. You should, if you say this paper, it's not in a high impact factor journal, but I'm really proud of it. This is what I wanted. I like the way it's written. I like the discovery we made. I think the contribution is important. You should be able to do that yourself. Okay. You may say, I didn't win a Nobel Prize, but I taught hundreds of students, and that's the contribution. You need to set. So I really feel very strongly it needs to be self-defined criteria of success. And if you don't do that, you'll always be unhappy, because there'll always be someone who's doing better than you. But if you know what it is you wanted to do and what you're satisfied with, then you won't be so frustrated, and you don't want to be a frustrated academic.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much again for being here and sharing your stories. It has been a really interesting and upbeat conversation. So if you want to connect with Jonathan or listen to his postcard, you can find his information in the video description below. Please comment if you agree or disagree with
disagree.
Good to disagree here. Thank you very much for watching. Stay in touch with us on our YouTube channel and our newsletter.